Wow. What's up, guys? Man, how y'all doing? Man, I work with middle schoolers. You got to talk back to me. Come on now. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Grace. If I haven't met you yet, like Ryan said, I'm River. I'm a resident here at Grace, and I'd love to meet you. I'd love to hear how you made your way over here to Grace. I hope you had a Merry Christmas, and you guys have a fantastic new year. 2025. It's in a few days, just so you guys know. It's crazy. Especially if you are a guest who joined us for one of our Christmas services and you're visiting again, I just want to say thank you for coming back. We're really glad that you're here. Like I said, I'm our student ministry resident. That just means I'm working on my master's degree while going to school to become a pastor while doing ministry here at Grace. And the only way that I'm able to do any of this, to learn, to grow, is because of you all and the opportunities that I'm given by you. So I need to say thank you for the ways that you've invested in me, the ways that you've loved me, the ways that you've prayed for me and provided for me. So I just owe you all a huge thank you. So thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. You guys are awesome. A bit about me before we hop into this today. I actually grew up attending Grace. I started attending our Bath campus in 2007 when I was 6, I think. That's almost 18 years ago. Math is hard. So I went through Power Kids. I went to middle school ministry on Sunday mornings, and I went to the high school youth group on Wednesday nights. And Pastor Aaron was actually my youth pastor when he was my age. We absolutely abused him. I feel really bad for him. Anyways, but I already said I'm sorry, so it's okay. But I went to all the youth camps, the conferences, the mission trips that we still do today. I've been going to church my whole life, but I made the decision to follow Jesus with my whole life when I was 16. And when I was 17, I felt God calling me into full-time vocational ministry at Momentum Youth Conference. This is one of the conferences we do during the summer where all sorts of impactful faith decisions are made. And I just remember I wanted to make Jesus make sense. I had found hope, I had found joy, and I just wanted others to experience what I had. So in 2020, I joined the intern and resident program we have here at Grace. I became an intern in Power Kids and got to work with the 4- and 5-year-olds, the most interesting people on the planet. They're fantastic. If you haven't talked to a 4- or 5-year-old, you should do it soon. It's awesome. Just ask them what they're interested in. It's fantastic. Anyways, and then in 2021, going into 2022, I felt like God was leading me somewhere else. And I remember feeling a lot of tension and just confusion. I'm like, God, I thought I was supposed to be doing this Power Kids thing. And I remember through a lot of prayer and shut doors, God opening a door here at Akron East. Somehow I got here, and now I get to hang out with the middle schoolers and the high school students. But instead of hanging out with them, I get to hang out with you fantastic people today. So it's going to be awesome. Today we're doing something that we don't typically do here at Grace. Today we're going to be having a one-time conversation. That's just the way the year lined up. And this conversation will serve as a natural primer for the next series called Ready or Not. So Ready or Not, be here next week. It'll really help you out. It's awesome. So make sure to come back for that next week. I'm super pumped for what we're going to talk about today. What we're going to be talking about is really, really important to me. It is reflection and refocusing. And because this is a unique week where we have a natural pause, most of us get to slow down after Christmas, have a slow week before the New Year's. Maybe you're taking a nap, hanging out with the family, eating good food, building some Legos. I don't know. I just finished a botanical set of Legos. It was fantastic. Anyways, we all move a little slower. This is a natural opportunity to slow down and refocus and ask ourselves these important questions that we can ask ourselves: where have I come from in the past year? Where am I right now? And where am I headed? What's my direction? And these are really powerful and impactful questions that can help us to get above our lives, to gain wisdom for the upcoming year. A lot of times we feel like we're just drowning in noise and drowning in just stuff happening all over the place. And the way that the end of the year lines up, it helps us to slow down, push all the stuff that's going on aside. Christmas is over. It's all done. It's over, guys. No more wrapping presents. You can get over life, and you can actually see what happens. So, and it seems fitting that we do this at the end of the year. 2025, right around the corner. And when I saw that, I was doing this conversation. I started doing some math. I'm pretty okay at it. It's great. And that means 8,760 hours is gone. 8,760 hours is gone. That was last year. Most of it we were asleep. It blew my mind. It really bothered me. So changing it from days to hours, put it in perspective for me. And my hope is that we can take that seriously, that our time is precious, and that we can get above our lives, catch our breath, see what happens. Today, we're going to look at how we can reflect and refocus on what really matters most and how we can engage with this in the new year. So right away, I want to address them about this conversation, okay? This conversation is uncomfortable for most of us. It's costly. Reflecting feels like it's another thing to do, something we have to check off of our list, and it's just, we got it done. It's something that costs you time, it costs you energy, and some of you crazy people in this room, you love this stuff. One of my brothers, he's at a coffee shop every Saturday, budget out, going through it, receipts on the table. He knows what's going on. And I'm just like, you are so organized, and your life is just like he knows what's going on. It blows my mind. If you're like Ryan Rodman, you get your whiteboard out. If you're like me, you get a journal out. I don't know, or a spreadsheet, whatever it is. Wherever you're coming from, wherever you are, wherever you're going, I promise you, this conversation will be beneficial to you. And the things that we're going to be looking at today, we're going to be engaging with two things: drift and progress. And at the end, I'm going to give you a resource that really helped me to accomplish seeing the drift in my life and seeing the progress in the past year. And that's the whole heartbeat of what we're talking about today. Man, this is going to be so fun. I'm pumped for this. The verse that's going to be paving the way for us for our discussion is Proverbs 27:19. It goes like this. It says, "As water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart." As water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart. We've all seen our reflection in water. I have. I've fished a lot in my life. I look over the side of the boats, make stupid faces, like, bleh, whatever it is. I know you guys have too. Don't lie to me. Anyways, but we've all seen our reflection in water. And what Solomon, the man who wrote this, is trying to point us to is that the reality of our real reflection is actually reflected in the water. There's a mirror. It's a mirror, right? And I was Googling, because Google is helpful. Mirrors weren't super accessible or affordable until 1835, apparently. So that blew my mind. I was like, that's an interesting stat. But have any of you ever left the house? You can respond, just so you know. That's what middle schoolers do. Have any of you left the house without looking in the mirror, but like recently? Yes, I did this too. And it was a dangerous thing. It was a bad choice to do this. This random day, a few weeks ago, I left the house and was going to the middle school just over there down the road, and to go hang out, play basketball, play volleyball. As part of my job is developing a relationship with higher middle school, the students there and the faculty there. And this random day, I must have been in a rush to get there, running late. I skipped a shower and ran water through my hair, tried to comb it with my fingers, and I flew to the school. I speed walked through the parking lot, and the moment I got into the main office to check in, fill out my visitor pass, slap the sticker on my chest that says I'm visiting, one of the secretaries there at the front desk, she's the sweetest lady ever. She's the best. She looks over at me, and she goes, "Sweetie? Hey, sweetie, come here. Your hair is a mess." And I'm just like, what? And I remember I was just blushing. I'm just like, I'm so embarrassed. She's like, they're gonna eat you alive out there if you go in there like this. Oh. And I was like, this is so embarrassing. And then she's like, I'm like, okay. I walk over there, and she's like, once a mom, always a mom. Just fixing my hair. And now I have a mom at the school over there, which is awesome. So she fixed my hair. I remember thinking a couple of things. Number one, I wish I was dead. I wish no one could see this. But now you all know, so you're welcome. Anyways, the second thing I was thinking was I should have just glanced at any mirror. There's like a billion mirrors in my life. I'm like in the house, in the car, just rear view mirror, look at my hair, whatever. And the next thought I was like, how much harder would my life be if I had to do this every day, just go around without looking and knowing what's going on? Because people would be like, they'd kind of like, wow, you look like you need some help. Anyways, thought about that. And I thought about this too. No wonder there's all these pictures with men with like mutton chops. They didn't have a mirror. They couldn't shave their face great. They were scared to shave. Anyways, but I'm joking. I realize that if my appearance is the same in reality as it is in a mirror, right? If that's true, and that Solomon's saying, and the condition and direction of my life reflects the overflow of my heart, then I need to take this passage seriously. Why is our heart so important, River? Great question, guys. Throughout the Bible, we see that the heart is what God is looking at, right? Yeah, he sees all of us. He sees our physical condition, but the thing that he cares about the most is what's going on inside. In the book of Proverbs, it regularly refers to the heart being the center of one's inner life and our orientation to God, how we're viewed. And this is where a person, they do all of their thinking, their feeling, and their choosing. It's the central part of all of our lives. Every single person here is having thoughts all the time. We feel stuff, and that leads us to making choices. And what I found to be true, regardless of where you're at in this room, regardless of whether you're following Jesus or not, is we are all searching. We're on this hunt. We're on a search for significance, for hope, for joy, for peace, for love. I want to belong somewhere and be known. I'm searching. I'm making the best choices I know how to have a good life. I'm doing my best. We're all right there. But the Christ follower, someone who's following Jesus, who's given their life to Jesus, has found all of this in Jesus. He has all of this in him. And our hope is, as Christians, as Christ followers, as we continue through life, that we begin to look more and more like Jesus in our hearts, right? And this reflection, as we look at our life, when we take a sober moment to look at our life, what's happened over the past year, it points us somewhere. We see a direction, where we're heading. And I have fantastic parents. I was blessed to have amazing parents. Some of the things that have stuck in my head the longest are the things that my parents have told me. I had the privilege of having my dad as a coach as well. It was awesome. But I remember all wisdom and love and endearing things that he would tell me as we're going through life. It's like, this loss isn't the end, stuff like that. And it's like, you're just developing right now and getting this affirmation. But one of the things that I consistently remember hearing growing up in my house is in this verse that we're going to look at next. It's in Proverbs chapter 4, 20 through 23. It says this, "My son, pay attention to what I say. Turn your ear to my words. Do not let them out of your sight. Keep them within your heart, for their life to those who find them and health to one's whole body." This is it. "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." What's Solomon doing here? He's connecting the loop between our heart and our life. Where does everything I do come from? My heart. If I want to see what's happening in my heart, I look at my life. If my life feels out of control, it's because of my heart. Guard your heart, because everything you do flows from it. This is it. This is the thing. And it's important that we have an understanding of what's going on in our heart so that we can live aware. The most dangerous people in the world are unaware people, and I am one of those people. I prefer to be coasting through life just la, 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 and stuff just happens. I'm like, how did that happen? I'm like, oh, I just didn't see it. Like, think about someone driving down the road, and there's like a stop sign, and if they miss that stop sign, someone could smack them, and then we're in for a world of trouble. Being aware of your heart is so important because everything we do is a result of what is happening in our hearts. It's all in here, that everything that is in here eventually ends up out here. Jesus, he would paint a picture of this. Think about this, flowing water, right? Think about a river or a brook or a stream, and it's just going, and life is just kind of like that. It's happening. It's going down this water, and stuff is coming out of your heart, right? And Jesus, he would say, where your treasure is, there your heart is. Where you put your money, where you're investing as we're going through life. Out of the overflow of your heart, the mouth will speak. The things that you say to people, the things that you're telling people, it's because of what's going on in your ear. Jesus would say in Mark 7, he goes, what comes out of a person's heart is the stuff that is defiling them. Your natural bend, the thing that you are most often going to do is the sin inside you. You want to do that. Your heart is going to naturally lead you. There's bending you there. He's like, all these evils come from inside and defile a person. Guard your heart. Guard your heart. Solomon, he's going to go on to say that he says this, keep your mouth free of perversity. Keep corrupt talk far from your lips. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways. Do not turn to the right or to the left. Keep your foot from evil. He's thinking about the path. we're all going somewhere because of our heart. Like we talked about, the choices that we make, the thinking, the feeling, the choosing that's happening inside of us, it's showing up in real ways in real life. And that's coming from somewhere. If we look behind us, if we see what's happening back here, we can kind of get an idea of where the path for our life is going. Our direction becomes clear when we examine where we've come from. It's important that we examine where we come from so we can begin to see where our hearts are leading us. If we're honest with ourselves, a few things become really, really clear when we look where we have come from. The first thing that's going to be revealed to us when we look at the path for our life and where we're heading is this. It's drift. Drift is this. Drift is the whole reason we do reflection in the first place. Like we talked about drift and progress. We're going to be talking a lot about it. This is one of the reasons we do this. Drift is like you're driving down the highway and you're just like, you know what? Let's see where the car is going. Hands off. It sounds horrible. But when I like to think about drifting, I like to think about when I was learning to ride a bike. I remember I was 5 years old, I think, ish, maybe. And I remember taking the wheels off of my bike. And I remember I was in the backyard learning how to do this on grass. It's the worst place to learn how to ride a bike. Don't have your kids learning grass. Maybe, I don't know. Do your thing. Figure it out. Anyways, but I remember I was ending up in the grass, and something that happened is like I looked left as I was going into the grass, and I saw our neighbor's pavilion that's in their backyard. I don't know why they have this metal pavilion. Seems silly. Anyways, but it's back there, and I remember being 5 looking at it, and as I looked, I was like, I don't want to hit that, but I don't want to hit that. And I hit it real hard. I can't believe I'm alive. It's crazy. But I was so focused on this thing to the left or to the right of me that I started going towards it. And that's why Solomon's like, don't look at the stuff going on over there or over there. Watch what you're saying. Do you hear yourself? Do you see where you're leading? Think about where you're going. The path for your feet. This is what he's. This is what he's passionate about. This is what he's drawing us to. Is where are you going? If we don't allow ourselves to carve out some time and consider the path for our feet, we won't see the drift, right? And whenever I look back on the year, this is my first time I did this with this resource I'm going to show you guys later. This is my first time I did this. I realized I had some pretty significant blind spots. Some of the things we're going to look at, it's going to be our health and our relationships. And I remember going through them and just being absolutely blown away. I was shocked. I'm like, how did I get here in this area? How is my relationship X like this? How did that get here? Where did that friend go? Where did this money get? Why did I spend that money for that? Where have I spiritually, my spiritual health, why am I where I am spiritually? A year ago, I wasn't here. I felt like I was closer to God a year ago. And this, looking back, I feel like I've drifted. I've not been praying as much. I'm not in the Bible as much. I realized as I was going through these different things that I experienced some drift. And I was terrified. I was like, if I didn't do this, if I didn't set aside time to do this, I would have never seen this. And here's the reality. If we fail to acknowledge drift, if we're like, I don't want to see it, I don't want to think about it, I don't want to know that it's there, it's going to invite further drift. I'm going to continue to deviate off course. I'm going to continue heading towards destruction, and it's going to be a mess. I'm going to hit the pavilion. So, how does drift happen? That's the question. How did I get here? Slowly and incrementally. It wasn't, nobody just suddenly I'm going to blow up my life today. I'm going to, no one does that. Relationships don't just end. You don't just gain 100 pounds because, I went to Thanksgiving, holidays, That's not how it works. You don't just suddenly lose money because I decided to spend money on coffee, just so you know. Coffee is one of my favorite things in the world. I love it so much. I started doing some math. This is what it's like. Who in here likes coffee? Say me if you like it. Try again. Thank you. Ugh, you guys are way better now. I love it. We'll call it $5. If I spend $5 on coffee one time, and I do it on purpose, is that good? Yeah, that's a treat. That's awesome. If I do that once a week and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to meet with these people on purpose and I'm going to spend my $5 on coffee, that's $20 a month. That's fine. If I do that for a year, that's only $140, no big deal. And if I do that for a month, yeah, 20 times 4, $100. No big deal, right? I did it. Wait, pause, guys. I promise I'm good at math. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 times 12 is... That's not true. You guys are better at math too. My point is, it's not a bad deal if you get coffee once a month, right? If you get once a week, for a month, for a year even, that's not a bad deal. I did it on purpose. But here's what I did. I said, this would be financially unwise for me. If I went and got coffee every single day, and it's still $5, right? That would be $35 a week. I did math here, I wrote it down. 35 times 4 is 140. 140 times 12 is $1,680. That's a lot of money in a year. And then for fun, I said times 20 years, because why not? It was $33,600. And I was like, that's the car I want. I was like, that's the Tacoma I want to buy later. Anyways, this is so if you guys want to buy me a truck. Anyways, I'm just joking. But I was like, that's crazy. How would I end up there? I didn't do that on purpose. I was just, I wanted coffee, so I got coffee. I think I've experienced the most drift when I'm tolerating something. This is something that I tolerate a lot. I love to watch movies and shows. It's rough, man. I love Star Wars. I really do. And I thought about it one year, and my brother pointed out to me one year, he's like, River, how many times have you watched all of Star Wars this year? Movies and shows. I'm like, 5, 6 times? And that's like hundreds of hours of Star Wars. And he's like, are you kidding me? But I didn't realize it. It just slipped away. I don't know. I just watched Star Wars. Anyways, but my question for you, what is the thing you're tolerating? What is the one thing that is slowly but surely eating away at you, that's sucking up all of your time and unknowingly, or your money, or whatever it is? And I realized this bothered me when I started realizing all of this. And adding things into your life, like a regular review of your life. I started doing this. For me, I just open up a consistent Google Doc, and I try and keep a detailed account of what has happened. How have I drifted? How have I made progress? How has God showed up for me this month? And I go over it with some of my trusted friends, and I'm like, what? And if they have questions for me, like, why did you do that? I'm like, well, I did that on purpose to do this. It wasn't like I accidentally spent some money. I did that on purpose. And this can show up in a bunch of different areas. The 2 areas we're going to be talking about today is health and relationships. Health, it can look like we're going to talk about our financial health, our spiritual health, and our physical health. If you guys download the resource that I'm going to have on the screen, don't write any of this down. Don't waste your time writing it. It'll be there for you. I promise that will be much more helpful. And you can write it and see it all in front of you. And then for our relationships, I looked at like singleness, marriage, parenting, friendships. How am I leading my family? If you're someone who's leading a family. And I asked myself all these questions. I'm like, where is my money going? Do I have a budget? Am I spending my money on purpose? Spiritually, we talked about that a little bit. I'm like, what's my spiritual life like? Am I closer to God today than I was a year ago? Physically, have I had a physical in the past year or 5? I don't know. Have I been working out consistently? Did I reach goals I made last year? Have I gained weight? Just questions asked for the relationships. One of the things I asked for singleness, like, am I content in my singleness? Am I just trying to find someone? Am I trusting that this is a gift from God? Am I trusting God with my singleness? For my marriage, I'm like, am I closer to my spouse this year than I was a year? Am I still dating her? Do I know her? Or if you're a woman, guy, whatever. For parenting, this is one I'm really passionate about. How are my kids doing? What are they good at? What are areas that they're weaker in? Am I spending time with them to know who they are? And this is my most favorite question, and I can't wait for this one day. Who would my child become if they reached their full potential? Guys, I work with these middle schoolers and high schoolers, and I'm like, you guys are amazing. You guys have the most potential I've ever seen in people. They're limitless potential. And if you're a parent or a grandparent and you see like a middle school, any child, and they're growing, you're like, man, they could be the president one day. They're gonna be a doctor, lawyer. They're gonna be whatever it is. And you're like, wow, I can't wait to see. And when I look at them, I'm like, man, I envy your parents and the opportunity that you guys have to disciple your kids, to encourage them, to push them to what they could become. It's amazing. Anyways, for marriage, how's my marriage? Are we going on dates? Have I pursued my spouse? And just so you guys all know, I'm figuring all this out too in real time. Like, this is the first time I went through this. This is the first time I opened up this resource and looked at my life like this. A lot of stuff has changed in my life recently. And I have to do the hard work, just like all of us in this room, to get over it and see what's really happened. The second thing that is going to be revealed when we look at our life is that we've made progress. We've grown. This is the other reason we do reflection. We do it to see progress. And seeing growth and development in those same areas of our lives, how we've grown and been better and seen God move, this should put us in a position of praise, to worship God, to say thank you for the work that he's already done. This year was a blur for me. I barely remember what happened. Exactly 1 year and 1 week ago, I got engaged. It's pretty awesome. Pretty quickly after that, me and my wife, we started going on the house hunt. We had no idea where we were going to live. We just, I remember the pain and the discomfort of trying to figure out where are we going to live? That big question mark, I had no idea what I was doing. I had to learn everything on the fly with her. We're like, is this how much money we should spend? I don't know. Anyways, all that stuff. And it felt like I saw houses were being put on the market and off the market like every day. And I'm like, that was there for 5 minutes and it's already bought. What? It's all moving at the speed of light. It's crazy. Every day. And I just remember like feeling completely discouraged and just disappointed. And I remember praying for our house together and asking for specific desires like, God, we have this much money and we would love to have this house. Love to have a house and we'd love for it to meet these specific criteria. We know you can do this and more. Jesus, we trust you with this. Do your will. Amen. And that was it. I remember that. And I remember we put a final bid on a house. And on my birthday, it was the greatest day ever. The best birthday. 23. Anyways, that birthday, our realtor, she gave us a call and told us that we got the house. And I remember there was that moment. I remember looking at Callie and her saying, there's no way that we got that house except because of God. Like, this doesn't make sense. God made this make sense. Like, God did God math, and I don't know how I did it, but he did it. And he just showed up, and in that, we just sat down, we just prayed together, and we're like, God, thank you so much for this. This is only because of you. I will never forget this moment. I can't forget this moment. A few months later, we got married, 3-4 months ago, something like that, and we got to celebrate our relationship. And looking back on our whole relationship, I see God leading myself and directing me. I'm like, how am I marrying this woman? I don't know. What? I remember, oh my goodness, when I met her, I had finally gotten to a position where I was like, that's it. I don't want to be married anyways. I'm done with this dating thing. Ugh, lame. And then I met her, I was like, shoot, I'm going to marry that girl. Darn it. I was like, I'm ready. I'm ready to be single. I'm ready. I trust God with this. And then I met this girl, and it was just like, boom, God made this so clear for me. I'm like, I remember, this doesn't make sense that I am now dating you, engaged to you, married to you. God just kept showing up for me and showing me just how good he is. And guys, these are just my significant moments from the year. And it can look like any of this or more or less. And maybe it's that you decided to follow Jesus this year. I know we had a lot of that this year. And maybe some of you decided to get baptized and wanted to show the world that you're following Jesus. And we saw a lot of that here this year. Maybe you found your church home this year. Welcome. We love you. We're so glad you're here. And it's a huge deal. You should celebrate that. Maybe the progress that you've seen is, I'm moving away from addiction. I don't want to live there anymore. Maybe it's moving out of an unhealthy, destructive relationship. These things deserve to be seen and celebrated. And I think that this is one of the things that God loves us doing the most, is seeing how he has met us in the midst of life and leads us through uncertainty. And here's the deal, guys. This is it. This bothers me. If we fail to acknowledge the progress that God has led us through, it diminishes the work that God has accomplished. That doesn't mean that his work is bad. God's work is perfect, good, and done. It's us, when we don't see it, when we don't give him praise, when we don't acknowledge what he's done, we're stealing the joy that we can have from that moment. This is such an opportunity for us to be like, God, you did this thing for me. I won't forget you. I won't forget the way you led me through this. I remember not knowing. I remember having doubts. I remember the anxiety. I remember just wanting to throw things through the wall. And then you showed up and you made a way that I didn't see. It takes away the joy that we might have had if we reflected and saw how he had moved. And guys, this is the thing that I want you guys to have. I want you to have joy. I want us to see, when we reflect, just how deeply loved that we are. The thing that I get drawn back to every time I reflect. This is the first time I've done like a big overview of my life, but when I've reflected in the past, whenever I think about my life and where I've come from, the thing I always get back to is why? Why did you pick me, God? I'm just a sinner. I'm just a mess. I destroy stuff. I don't know why you chose to love me the way you've loved me, and why you keep taking care of me and you keep giving me your blessings. And I think God, when he sees us and when we come to that conclusion, he just says, because I love you. Because you're my kid. You're my son, my daughter, and I will never, ever stop loving you. You're mine. And when I get there, at the end of the day, at the end of looking at my life, I just get in a spot where I'm like, thank you. That's all I have. That's the most garbage thing I have left to give to God, but that's all he wants. Thank you, River. Thank you, God. God, you gave me a roof over my head every day this year. I was fed. I made all these new friends. You gave me a job that has been able to provide for me and my financially, for my family, and on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And I don't want you guys to miss this thing. Celebrating this with friends. Taking a moment to be vulnerable with another person. And be like, this is the ways I've drifted over, and this is the ways I've seen progress. Do you know what a joy you're taking away when you're scared to be? I get that it's scary to be vulnerable, but when you're not vulnerable with some people in your life, the people that God has put around you, you're taking away opportunities for them to pour into you because they love you, and they want to invest in you, and they want to love you and lead you and point you to Jesus. It's like, I remember being in a similar spot, and I guarantee you, when you see progress in your life, you're not like, oh, this thing that's happened. You know? No. When you see progress and drift, it becomes encouraging like you would not believe for me when I hear stories of how people's lives have been changed because God showed up for them and because they decided to make a decision. I am so filled, I'm so encouraged, and so is that other person. Our faith is reinforced. It's telling others about what God has done in our lives that reinforces our faith in him. It's like concrete, and it's like you can feel like you're drowning, and then I remember that moment God showed up. Fill in the blank for you. And I'm full of confidence, and this is the solid ground I'm standing on forever. If you don't do this, it's not sinful. If you don't reflect, it's not sinful. It's in nowhere it's like you need to reflect you need to do this. It doesn't say that in the Bible. But here's the thing. listen. Jesus Christ didn't come to the planet, live a perfect life, die on the cross, be buried, and rise from the dead for me to have a mediocre, haphazard, unintentional, distracted life. Jesus doesn't want that for me. He doesn't want that for you. You know what he did? He came here and he died so that you could have life to the full, to the max. He wants you to have a full life. And this is the best way I know to get above it, to get over your life and see, man, I'm not living a full life sometimes. I might not be living a full life. And this QR code that I want you to scan, I would love for you to scan this and take some time to reflect in this new year. This is the thing that I think is the best crack that we have to seeing our lives at a 30,000-foot view. What happened? God, how have I drifted? How have I made progress? What goals should I make for the new year? This is the best that I have to do. And this should lead us to a position of gratitude, to praise. And again, something I would recommend for you. This is a great way to start practicing reflection. Something I would recommend is taking this practice and finding ways to implement it into your life regularly. It could be monthly, it could be weekly, whatever makes sense for you. But imagine how different your life could be if you regularly decided how to reflect and see how God has moved in big ways or small ways, how I've drifted in my life. This stuff changes lives. And what I'm going to ask of you is, would you carve out some time this week to reflect, to refocus, and prepare for the upcoming year? If this is too hard for you guys, like the QR code, I'll print out a copy for you, whatever you want. I love you guys, and I'm unbelievably grateful for the privilege of being here and being able to serve you guys and be served by you guys. You guys are amazing. So thank you. Would you bow your heads and pray with me as the band comes up and close out? Jesus, thank you for your love, your goodness, your faithfulness, your mercy, just the ways you've led us all of our days. I just pray for every person in this room that you would meet us where we are, that you would just move in our hearts, that you would just show us the ways that we've drifted, the ways that we've been distant from you, and the plans that you have. And would you show us the progress that we've made and just give us reasons to celebrate, to say, God, thank you. Thank you for the amazing gifts you've given us. Jesus, I just thank you for everything that you've given us. Even showing us the drift, God, because it shows how we can be more and more connected to you. It shows us that we're not and that we need to be. We love you. I just ask that you lead us in all these ways. It's your name I pray, Jesus. Amen.